Hey, it's time for Count It Off, your fresh new window into the world of music, and I'm your host, Jeff Dayton, here in Nashville, Tennessee, the Count It Off podcast. And today we've got an amazing guest for you. His name's Taylor Roberts. He plays 7-string guitar, one of the few guys I've ever met that plays 7-string, and man, he kills it. You're going to get a chance to hear from him, hear his story. He's got some very cool stories, including one involving the Rolling Stones. You wouldn't expect that maybe, but we're going to take that for it, and we're going to kick it off right now, so stick around. Here we go.
Hello, what you doing?
Rocking the boat like no other.
You're kidding, right?
Pronto nos vemos.
When all else fails, read the instructions.
Whoa! What?
Isn't that the way it is? Hey, Taylor, are you there, buddy?
Hey, Jeff, thanks for having me on, man.
Oh, I'm delighted to have you. We have tried. Technically, this has been a real challenge and a growing experience for me. So I'm glad we finally figured it out. Hey, you know what? Let's ask Marcia to start the show. Would you say, hey, Marcia, kick it off?
Hey, Marcia, kick it off.
Welcome to Count It Off with your host, Jeff Dayton, where we explore the world of music through the eyes of some fascinating guests. So get tuned up and let's count it off.
Yeah, check this out. That is Taylor Roberts on the 7-string guitar, you guys. I've never heard a guy that plays so well and so poised. He's not a bad-looking dude either, I tell you what. So here we are, Taylor, and I'm finally connected to you. Been waiting to do this for quite a while. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. On the topic of aesthetics, I did don my favorite suit and sprayed my best cologne, so hopefully the listeners will appreciate that.
Yeah, that transmits over radio really well.
Good.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested to hear about you and how on earth you got going on a 7-string, but why don't we go back a little bit? Tell us how music came into your life.
Oh, man. Well, it's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. I think pre-kindergarten, actually. We had a piano in the house, and we were privileged enough to have a teacher come by once a week and tolerate our 5 and 7-year-old personalities. I grew up in the house with my older brother, Andrew, and I guess you can say I took to it a little bit more. And while I was a horrible student, I did enjoy picking out melodies that I heard on the radio and, the turntable, which we did have back then, by the way.
So it dates you a little bit.
A little bit.
And then what happened?
But yeah. I mean, I took the piano lessons on and off until I was 12. And then this was 1994, so I guess I'm dating myself even more accurately here. But
wait, you were 12 in 1994?
Yes, sir, I was.
You can call me sir. All right.
Figured I'd lean into that a little extra.
Yeah, you got that special pause in there. Yeah.
Well, no, Green Day kind of exploded onto the scene in 94. And, I became like unhealthily obsessed with their song Basket Case, which I guess is a little bit ironic. But regardless, I was fixated on their drummer, man. Trey Cool is just one of the greatest drummers in rock and roll, if you ask me. I think I just was fascinated by his fluency and his, he really just drove the entire song for me. And so I wanted to play drums originally. I became, very, very fixated on the idea of playing drums. I learned all the fills with my, what do you call them? My Sharpie markers. And I was playing on the pillows and everything. And,
air drums,
my parents, when the time came, about a year had passed, and I had these plans with a classmate to start a band. When the time came for my parents to finally say, like, okay, we'll get you something, they didn't want to get me a drum set, which I thank God to this day they didn't, because there's not a whole lot of like solo drum gigs out there. But they got me an electric guitar instead, and I was just kind of like, oh, fine, I guess I'll get a guitar. I was 13 at this point. It was 95, and I started right then and there, just sort of figuring out melodies. I was listening to music by, The Offspring and Green Day, of course, and a lot of the more popular sort of, I guess what they'd classify as like pop punk bands at the time.
Yeah.
Just to kind of, help me survive adolescence for better or worse. But I was sitting in there in the music store. The Band Central Station was the name of the place, which I wound up going on to work at for a little while, some years later. But we got a PV Predator, which was kind of a PV Strat clone. It was like a 3 single coils. It was, I think, just a straight black finish with a white pickguard and a little practice amp. So I came home. We came home with that, and I decided to keep this a secret from everyone. Like I would master the instrument because, of course, I'm 13 and I think I can do that in 2 weeks. But and then I'd just unleash my brilliance on the world and make it big. But I did manage to keep it a secret for about a month until I told one of my best friends, and I learned how to play these 2-note power chords and learned like a couple of songs by like Operation Ivy and Green Day. And, I was also listening to a lot of R&B, of the time, like Boyz II Men and Casey and JoJo and Mary J. Blige and all that kind of stuff. But the stuff I was focused on learning on the guitar was a bit more accessible for a beginner. So yeah, at that point, I just remember, I managed to put together with my best friend at the time who played bass, and a drummer, we put together, to this day, which I'm very, very proud to say, was probably the worst punk rock band in the history of humankind.
Love it. And what town were you in at this time?
Oh yeah, sure. This was in Gainesville, Florida. I was born and raised there.
Oh, okay. All right. So you just kind of breathe the same air that Tom Petty, the Allman Brothers, and those guys had. Yeah,
and I still managed to pass a drug test when that came
from being 12 years old in 1994.
Exactly. But no, Petty's definitely a hometown hero, man. I love him, and he's very well respected and very, very missed, of course. But
tragic loss.
But yeah. A couple years passed, we kept a band going. We played all these, these middle school parties and managed to play a couple local venues at the time, nothing serious. But
let me ask this too.
At that point,
were you on 6-string guitar at this point?
I was.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't switch to 7 until about 2010, but
all right, we'll get
to definitely cover that as much as you want. But yeah, I just remember, my parents, I'd show them a new lick that I learned, and my dad would be like, "Oh yeah, that's cool," haha. And I'm sure in the back of their minds they were praying that this was just a phase, But like I said, a couple years in, I'm sure their palms hit their foreheads, and they were both simultaneously like, "Oh no, he's serious.
He's going to stick with us." Yeah. Do you
Exactly.
play kind of a hybrid finger style? I noticed on your videos, and people can go to Taylor Roberts Music, right? Is that your music channel?
Taylor Roberts Guitarist is my website, taylorrobertsguitarist.com. But yeah, I'm pretty sure if you just search Taylor Roberts Guitar on YouTube or even Google, it should point you in the right direction.
Well, hey, let's play a little bit more of your music. All right, can we do that
Sure.
right now? Yeah, we're going to do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Man, that's so cool. And the thing about it, folks, is that he's playing all that at once. The bass notes are part of that 7-string thing. We'll get to more of that. So, but yeah, you jamming around, you play in the area, and then let's talk about how you got into 7-string guitar.
Sure. Well, there's a player by the name of Howard Alden who, over the past couple of years, he and I have become friends and had, a few chances to play together. But he is to blame pretty much for my converting to 7-string. Now, I went to the Benedetto Players concert in Savannah, Georgia. This was 2004.
And tell people who Mike Benedetto was.
Well, Bob Benedetto is one of the most well-respected luthiers or guitar builders in the history of the art form. And, he's retired now, but his company's gone on to become really successful, and they've been around for decades and decades, I think close to 60 years, if not past that now at this point. I've since gotten one of their instruments, and, they've picked me up as an endorser, however, whichever way that goes. Mm-hmm. I'm one of their artists. But yeah, this was the lineup of like all their A-listers. It was Howard Alden, Jimmy Bruno, Martin Taylor, Bucky Pizarelli, who, he was just one of the greatest. I mean, all playing brilliance aside, just one of the greatest humans in the history of the jazz guitar. But and it was Howard Alden who was playing a 7-string, and I noticed he was just taking full advantage of that extra range of the instrument. At the time, I guess 2004, I was 22. And I was still kind of intermittently in school. I majored in jazz studies at UNF, the University of North Florida in Jacksonville, which jokingly stands for "You Never Finish," but we won't get into that. But regardless, I got to meet all those guys and hang with all of them. They were all just really cool and fun to hang with. And I decided then and there, because a lot of the gigs I was doing were either just solo guitar or accompaniment gigs where I was playing duos with vocalists or horn players. And so I was kind of in a position where I was forcing myself to more or less be the whole band on a guitar. Cool.
Really love the sound of that 7-string. What is it about that appeals to you? I mean, you just mentioned that you like the full range of it. Is that what kept you on 7-string and kept you from going back to your PB Predator?
Yeah, I mean, the extra range was, how can I put this? It was a better way to have a more full sound when I played solo or when I was accompanying somebody else. And I had learned by listening to recordings of people like Joe Pass that, I can play the bass line and the chords and sometimes the melody in addition to all of that sort of all at once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's great. And that's a style that, how many guys do you think do that in the jazz world?
Well, there's a few. I can't say there's a lot, but some people that come to mind are people like Martin Taylor and Joe Pass, of course, and Charlie Hunter is a huge influence on me as well. But other players who are a little bit more well-known in other circles, like Tommy Emmanuel and let's see. There's a lot of acoustic players out there like Andy McKee and Don Ross and a lot of other people who came before them who helped sort of push that sound along as well, where the guitar is essentially the whole band.
Cool. And is Tommy Emmanuel known as a 7-string player? I mean, he's brutal on the 6-string, but I didn't know he played 7.
No, not as a 7-string player, but I'm just talking about that style in and of itself, where essentially the bass, the chords, and the melody, and even some percussive elements are incorporated simultaneously.
Oh, good.
And I think Charlie Hunter was a guy who played 8-string for a while, and then he switched to 7, and now he's back to 6. But he still has a very, very recognizable and extremely unique style. And I've stolen all sorts of things from him over the years too. So,
well, I guess that's what the greats all do. I mean, we all borrow from each other. The introduction that Glenn did on Southern Nights, bang, 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 Southern Nights. He stole that from Jerry Reed. That's an old Reed lick. Yeah, if you listen to Guitar Man, which is one of Jerry Reed's songs, it's that same guitar lick. And Glenn would throw that in anywhere he needed it. I mean, he was pretty shameless about that. So
I was just going to say what an incredible player and trendsetter, Jerry Reed was.
One of my favorites. I guess you could say that you can be a one-man band and walk into a place like the Ritz down there and play by yourself and fill it out, right? Is that, you get a lot of work that way?
That's about 90 to 95% of my gigs these days is solo instrumental 7-string guitar. And, in spite of my sort of deep jazz roots, I hardly really ever play any tunes from the Great American Songbook unless it's just part of the act or somebody requests something like that. But more to your point, I did play at the Ritz-Carlton for nearly a decade. And towards the end there, I was there pretty much every night. Definitely have some memorable moments that were created during my tenure there, so to speak.
Well, tell us one.
Well, you mentioned we were talking about the Stones earlier. That was one of the biggest career highlights I've had so far. This was the summer of 2019. I got a call from the executive chef who never called. He called me through Facebook Messenger, which was a little extra weird because, he never called me for anything else, regardless, because I saw him at work every day. But he said, "Taylor, I know you're already booked somewhere else tonight, but it would probably be in your best interest to cancel that gig right now because you're going to want to take this one instead." And I figured it had to be good for him to just call me out of the blue like this.
Something about it sounded appealing, right? Yeah.
Very much. My antennas were perked up at this point.
Yeah.
And so it turns out the Rolling Stones were staying at the hotel that weekend because they were coming through Jacksonville on their No Filter tour. And this is just one of the kickers of that whole, that saga was that Mick Jagger's girlfriend was turning 28.
What's he, 90?
I'll just I don't know.
I don't know. I'm
He's
sorry,
definitely
Mick.
at least 80 now at this point.
Yeah,
No, it's okay.
yeah.
Their son is probably 7 years old now at this point. But anyway, she wanted music for the birthday dinner party, and I figured, well, I guess I'll go hang out with the Rolling Stones all night.
Oh, man.
So, that's what I wound up doing. Charlie Watts was still with us. Ronnie Wood is like the class clown. He was cracking everybody up. Mick Jagger was a bit standoffish, but he did thank me a couple times and gave a couple speeches. And, the core members, everyone was there except for Keith. Keith was not at the birthday dinner, but a bit more on that in a moment. My fiance and I, we got front row seats to the concert the next night, which was, speaks for itself, arguably the greatest concert I've ever attended.
Mm.
And part of the selling point for me was that we got to ride on the friends and family tour bus, so we didn't have to worry about parking, which is, that's a nightmare for me at huge concerts like that. But regardless, during all this time, everybody in the band had been talking to Keith about, hey, there's this guitar player. He plays in the restaurant downstairs. You have to go check him out. And so the next night, I'm sitting there playing in the restaurant, and Keith Richards walks in with his wife and their two friends, and they take the table right behind me. And I still have a good couple hours to go for this gig. And they're sitting there, they're enjoying their dinner experience and everything. And after a certain point, I think my excitement had outweighed my terror at the idea of playing in front of Keith Richards.
No kidding.
And I figured, what other shot am I going to get at this, right? And so I played Wild Horses. And I'll give you the PG version of what the guy at the table next to me did. He leaned in and he goes, "Man, you've got some real guts doing that right now." And
absolutely.
Regardless, I finished up playing. I was packing up. I went to go talk to Keith, who was just one of the warmest, kindest, most complimentary people I've ever met.
Oh, how cool to hear that! Yeah, we all want to know what the stars are really like,
Well, he was just a total sweetheart, man. He shook my hand and he complimented my playing, and he goes, "Hang on a minute, mate. Here, this is for you." And he reached into his pocket and he handed me one of his guitar picks.
Mm.
So that pick is sitting in my safe to this day.
Oh man, that's so cool. That's cool. He didn't say, "Here,
so
play
that's
my
my Rolling Stones story.
Play my guitar."
No, well, I play with an extra string. He plays with one less. So I think
true.
I'd probably be confused and vice versa. So.
I know one guy that knows how to do that kind of stuff, and he's here in Nashville, and he did a whole bunch of jamming for a project that I was looking at, and dang, that guy, his name's Mike Lawler, and he's just kind of a madman on that thing. He can really play it, and he's got all the licks worked out. He's a big fan of that. That is the Keith Richards 5-string version of the Telecaster.
Right. And I think he uses a few of those wonky tunings and stuff too on certain songs.
Yeah, especially like an open tuning for slide or whatever he's doing. Or just easy chords, that kind of thing. One finger chords. Wow, what a cool experience that is. Well, what about the jazz world? I know you've got some touring coming up, but who have you bumped into in the jazz world?
Well, sure. My first sort of brush with fame in the jazz world, as much of an oxymoron as that may sound like, was really that Benedetto Players concert. I got to rub elbows with all the guys I had been listening to throughout high school when I was first introduced to the music. And I was so pleasantly surprised at how accessible they all were. And I've since, gotten opportunities to share bills at festivals with them. And I'm an artist for the Rocky Mountain Archtop Fest in Colorado every September. And that's sponsored by Hendrickson Amplifiers. And it's just one of the greatest jazz guitar hangs in history. And so I'm getting to hang with all my heroes and get to have, cool experiences playing with, like I said, people like Howard Alden, who I've become friends with. Charlie Hunter and I have become good friends over the years. I've had opportunities to open up for him. And pretty much anybody I really want to reach out to or contact in the jazz world is is accessible, whether it's through a friend of a friend or however many degrees of separation there are. Pretty much 9 times out of 10, anybody will pick up their phone.
Well, guys, that's amazing, and I hope you'll go to his YouTube channel and check it out. I was just watching the track that was playing behind us in your demo reel here on YouTube, and folks, this guy should be in the movies too. He's got that handsome movie star kind of thing going on. Rather big time, I got to tell you. I have hair envy, Taylor.
Oh, well, I'm enjoying it while it lasts.
Yes, indeed. Rock it if you got it. Where can people find you? I know you're doing a West Coast swing this year, aren't you?
I am. I'll be in the LA sort of region for the second half of April, more or less. I'll be playing in Culver City, Laguna Beach, San Diego, different areas of LA, and managed to string together about 10 dates over the course of 12 days.
Oh, wow.
So I'll be out there. This will be sort of an inaugural thing, and assuming it goes well, it'll hopefully turn to an annual thing and expand with every year.
What if somebody asks for Jimmy Buffett? What are you going to do?
I look at my tip jar very intently, and if they don't tip me...
It's not full enough yet, folks. Oh my gosh.
If they don't tip me for that, I lean into the mic and say, "You got to say that louder. My tip jar couldn't hear you."
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
But as no disrespect to Jimmy Buffett, of course, but we all have those songs that get over requested, and it's like, come on. There's a price to pay for this.
And you're right. You're right. And the ones that we're talking about, everybody knows. But there are some really cool songs of his that he's done with other people, and songs that he didn't write, and they're just amazing.
Right.
During COVID, I really kind of did a deep dive into Buffett, and I noticed how much of it I didn't know. I mean, I knew just the surface, the hamburgers and the fins to the left, and the Margaritaville, and changes in latitude, and all the stuff that we were all tired of hearing, really, and for guys like you and me, really tired of playing, I gotta say, but then you get into the what do they call it, the whole catalog of all the music he's done, and I just love that stuff. And there's some deep cuts that I've discovered that I'm very fond of. One Jesse Winchester song called "I Wave Bye Bye." And Jimmy did that on the Songs from St. Somewhere album. And we did a big thing in Key West back in October, beginning of November, the Trop Rock and Duval Festival. And I got to get up there and almost close the night, with I Wave Bye Bye. And the crowd, although they might not have known the song, these guys were serious parrot heads. And there were tears all through the room because Jimmy, of course, had passed away.
Oh, man.
We're saying goodbye. But I loved his taste, and I loved his demeanor and everything. So again, we're not knocking Jimmy at all. We're just saying, man, what a cool guy.
Not at all.
But maybe not that song. You got a second choice.
Right.
Because we started playing that song, well, you weren't around yet, but we started playing that song in the 70s when it came out. And I don't mind. I'll do Come Monday. I think that's really a cool story. I mean, that's just old hippie music to me. Well, man, I'm so glad you did this. I'm going to play a little bit more Taylor Roberts here. Check this out. That's some great stuff, man. I tell you what, I'm getting ready to do a new record called Songs from the Walnut Room. And you had a glance around the Walnut Room earlier when we were doing a little FaceTime. I would be honored to maybe see if you would guest on there and do a song with me on that.
Oh, hey, man, you got my number. I'd be more than happy to.
That sounds
fun. Great. Man.
Well, that would be fun. We'll find something.
If you don't mind, I would like to throw out a little shameless plug while we're on the air. If you don't mind. Kind of the next big thing coming up is I'm playing at a place called Eddie's Attic in Atlanta, and technically Decatur, but it's all sort of part of the greater Atlanta area. And this will be Thursday, February 27th. And I happen to get quite possibly Atlanta's finest players to join me for this gig. It's going to be Kevin Bales on piano, Billy Thornton on the bass, and on the drums, I was so lucky he was available, a gentleman named Terry on Gully, who just got off the road with Herbie Hancock recently.
That'll work.
He's worked with everybody in the R&B world, from Common to Mos Def to Queen Latifah, and in the jazz world, every A-lister you could possibly imagine. Christian McBride, Herbie Hancock, obviously, people like Terrence Blanchard. I mean, he's just one of the best. So I am equally excited and terrified for this one, but I am trying to pack the place because it'll be my debut at Eddie's. But yeah, Eddie's Attic, Thursday, February 27th.
Well, I'll tell you what that just did. You got pushed up the schedule to get out there on the Count Off schedule, and we'll get you out as soon as we can. Folks, check it out. I hope you'll go to his. You have a Facebook page too, right?
I do. Yeah, I'm all over all the socials, and my website has the most up-to-date gig schedule. I'm playing pretty much every night somewhere or another in the Jacksonville, St. Augustine area. Sure, it's TaylorRobertsGuitarist.com.
All right, we're going to do that. Taylor, you've been a delightful guest, man, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with our Count It Off podcast. We're doing this. This is one of our first phoners that we've done, where we've got a Bluetooth connection with the phone, and I hope you guys are enjoying the quality. I've enjoyed talking to you, man. You're a cool dude. You play your you-know-what off, and I'm so grateful to know you. And I hope you guys will check it out, because this guy is all over. My YouTube feed has, you know how they have shorts now? That's like kind of the quick, 9 to 15 second vertical videos that you come off a phone with, and Taylor's stuff on there is just beautiful, man. I love rolling across it, and you get a quick sample, and you move on, and there's another Taylor. Thanks for doing this, man.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Jeff. It's been a pleasure.
All right. All you got to do now is say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Hey, baby.
Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this show. We invite you to check out all the other episodes and share this channel with all of your friends. Until next time, peace.